They don't think people should be immortal. They ought to die. Or apparently, it would be unnatural. It would be... I don't know what exactly they're saying. Now, this whole video idea was inspired by an article I saw here on dailygalaxy.com. And we have a quote here from Mr. Sherwin Newland, a professor of surgery at the Yale School of Medicine, a fairly educated person, who says, quote, I just don't think, brackets, immortality, I just don't think immortality is possible. Others who talk of greatly extending lifespan are oversimplifying the science and just don't understand the magnitude of the task. His plan will not succeed. Were it to do so, it would undermine what it means to be human, unquote. The article continues, it's interesting that Nolan first says he doesn't think it will work, but then adds that if it does, it will undermine humanity. So which is it? Is it impossible, or are the skeptics just hoping it is? Allow me to revisit this last part here. He says, if immortality were to succeed, quote, it would undermine what it means to be human. Apparently thinking that if we don't die, we're not human. I think that this professor here, and a great many other people like him, are sort of stuck in, well, the normal way of thinking, I'd say. For all of freaking, 400,000 years, we've had Homo sapiens walking around. We've all been mortal. Something we've had for a very long time, and immortality is a great unknown. So I think there's a base instinct almost that just crops up and says, it must be bad somehow, because it would be so frigging different. That doesn't make it bad. There's a quote here from Leon Cass, the former head of Bush's Council on Bioethics, who insists that, quote, the finitude of human life is a blessing for every human individual, unquote. Mr. Cass, would you like me to shoot you in the face? That's not a threat, sir. I'm making a general rhetorical point here. The finitude, it's not infinite. It's a limited extent of lifespan, is, according to your own words, a blessing for every human individual. Great! So if I kill you, then do you have more blessing? Of course not, Mr. Cass. You're not actually going to get killed, or to kill anyone else for that matter. You just believe that people ought to die at some point. At what point, sir? At what point, precisely? There's a movement of bioconservatives who want to restrict research seeking to, quote, unnaturally, unquote, prolong life. How long does life have to get before it's unnatural, people? How many years do you live before you're non-human? At what point will you murder someone, huh? I'm not accusing you of murder. But think of it, that's essentially what you're saying. They have to die at some point. Well, what if they're not dying yet? What if someone's 100 years old? Would you kill him? No? What about 120? 180? 567? At what point did they, I'm sorry, it's clearly, you're not mortal enough, you need to die. And no one here is really talking about going and shooting people, but they are talking about expressly prohibiting ourselves from researching the technology that could eventually lead to people being 150 years old or something. There are people who are creeped out by that. That somehow it's wrong, that somehow it drains away human life. And because life is finite, some of them are saying, therefore it has meaning. That is ridiculous! That is ridiculous. Certainly, making it more finite doesn't make it more meaningful. When someone, dies in a car accident at 17 years old, we don't say, wow, though, that life, that was so meaningful because it was so short. Everyone should have shorter lives. No one wants shorter lives. It's just that we're creeped out by significantly longer lives. So, okay, what we need is lifespans that are almost exactly what we have now. What we have now is somehow morally, ethically, spiritually the best way, and if you go too far away from that, too old, that somehow something would go wrong, or something. Others bring up the specter of overpopulation. If nobody dies, there wouldn't be enough room for us. Well, frick that, if there's too many people, we can just, lower the birth rates. I imagine if we have technology enough to, live essentially forever, we also have technology enough to not give birth so often. If that's what we feel like doing. Furthermore, we probably have enough technology at some point to go off and colonize planets and stuff, and there's a big old universe out there that could theoretically hold people, and if in the meantime we need to, not have so many births, cool, we'll all just hang around and be immortal for a while until we figure out how to go to Mars. We could do that. And maybe you're trying to say that, certain society implications or something, it would be hard for us to do that, or we wouldn't show proper self-restraint or something. If so, then argue for showing proper self-restraint or something, or argue for, okay, if we have immortality, we need X, Y, and Z in order to make it all work. But I see no argument against immortality directly. And some people say, no, that's against the natural order of the universe. To which I respond, we're humans. This is what we do. Frick you, natural order of the universe. We're changing things now. I mean, I don't mean that in the sense of, we can do whatever the frick we want and none of it ever matters. I do believe in a fundamental ethics, for instance, of good and evil and such, but I mean, we're life forms, you know what I mean? Like, the universe was working one way, and then, life showed up, and we start doing different stuff. Then, sentient life, humans show up, and we start doing very different stuff. And then immortal humans show up, and we do even more different stuff. I don't know. We're not... You're arguing as if you have some sort of ultimate knowledge of this is our place in the universe, is to be here and not there. It's very much like the people who've said, if God had intended man to fly, he would have given him wings. Well, maybe, on the religious context, maybe God gave us the brain to invent the airplane. And while we're at it, God or no God, whatever your religious perspective is, what exactly was wrong with flying in the first place? Yeah, it seems weird, but I imagine God should be okay with that. And if there's, or whatever religious perspective you have, I'm not seeing much of the problem. And the same thing with immortality. It's really weird. I dare say you need to look at the implications or something like that, but overall, we all want to live, don't we? Isn't that important in some way? Yeah?